is Sunday, April 7th, 2024. It's about 11:15. It's a nice sunny day in Willoughby Bay, and I'm getting ready to get underway. I got the new dinghy on deck today and deflated it and took the floor out of it and all of that stuff for the first time and tried to fold it up to fit into the bag. And that was, well, there's something about a monkey and a football that comes to mind with how that all worked out. The guy I bought the boat from said, well, you know, it's new. Your first couple of times of folding it up and blowing it up and putting the floor in it and folding it up and all of that, it's going to be real stiff. And yeah, it was. So it ain't pretty, but it's rolled up and it's tied up on deck. Maybe next time it'll be better. I definitely need to get an electric pump so I can suck all the air out of it. That would probably make things a lot easier. So that's on the list now. I was thinking about getting up and getting underway with the sun this morning, and then when I was looking at the winds forecast, it was like, well, you know, that really doesn't make any sense because I was going to be pushing the wind all the way, and I would rather the wind push me. So I figured, well, I'll get underway somewhere around noon, and by the time I get to the Atlantic, the wind will have come around, and I should have the wind on the quarter all the way up. I'll have a little bit of time tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow. Maybe that's when it was, day after tomorrow. When the winds will be a little light, I'll get to play with the spinnaker a little, I hope. But a couple of days from now, I should be up in Atlantic Highlands. That's where I'm headed. I was hoping to make a straight run all the way to Maine, but there's a gale that's going to stop that. So I have until Wednesday evening to get into get behind Sandy Hook into Atlantic Highlands to anchor up and get secure for this 35-40 knot gale that's going to hit up there Thursday and Friday. And then after that, the extended forecast for the winds looks like I'll have a good push for an outside run south of Long Island up into Buzzards Bay, and then hopefully I can hit the canal just right, and that long forecast will continue on, and I'll continue on up to Maine and be up there mid-month, something like that. So, but I'm going to get underway here in just a little bit. I'm going to finish this cup of coffee, and we're underway again, headed to Maine. More later. It's just about 7 o'clock in the evening. We are in the Atlantic. We've done about 26 miles so far since we hauled anchor at Willoughby Bay, Willoughby Spit. We've averaged 3.6 knots in variable wind. Sun will be going down here in about half an hour or so. We're cruising along right now. Looks like we're making, well, we're bouncing right around 2 knots. The winds are supposed to calm throughout the night, and then, well, for the next couple hours anyway, and then pick up about midnight up to about 7 or 10 knots. So I'm trying to get a little bit of an offing so that I don't risk current pushing me into the shoreline. I'd like to get about 10 miles offshore, but I don't know that I'll make that before the wind quits blowing. So we'll just have to keep an eye on things. It's been a nice sail so far. I'm in about a 1 foot sea, so it's comfortable. We're having to put up with Raymond and his yakking, but he's steering the boat, so we'll let him talk all he wants for now. Later tomorrow, it's supposed to Well, actually, no. As I recall, we're only going to have 7 to 10 knots of wind all day tomorrow. So my plan is to actually get the spinnaker out and see if we can't make that thing work for us. And we'll be able to pick up some good miles with that. Day after tomorrow, the winds are supposed to pick up, and we're going to have a nice broad reach taking us all the way back up. 15-20 knot winds taking us back up to Sandy Hook and Atlantic Highlands. Or at least that's the forecast. So we will see what we get. But so far today, I've got no complaints. It's a very nice ride. Sun will go down here in just a bit, like we say. And right now, I'm the only one out here. We had to dodge a few big ships coming out of the Chesapeake with the main shipping channel and whatnot there. And of course, at one point, I had a ship coming up behind me and the wind quit, so I had to start the motor and motor out of the channel. And as soon as he passed me, the winds picked back up again. It's just been one of those days. But it's awful nice to be underway again. 3 weeks in Willoughby Bay. 3 weeks was fine, but I was ready to leave. So hopefully we'll make it up to Sandy Hook, Atlantic Highlands, sometime in the afternoon, early evening, day after tomorrow, or at least just after sunup on Wednesday. That would be really nice. And we'll spend a day or two there, wait for this next blow to go through, and with any luck, we'll have a good 3 or 4 days fair weather and fair winds to get us the rest of the way up to Maine. We'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing. And I think it's dinner time. We'll see what we can find to eat. It's 4:30 in the morning. Here about 20 minutes ago, the wind just stopped. And then it fluttered a little, and then it stopped again. So now we are totally becalmed. And we're basically just spinning around out here, boxing the compass. So I furled the jib and I sheeted the mainsail hard amidships just to try to stop it from flogging so much. And I guess we'll sit here for a little while. You can see we've done 62 miles in 16 hours and 54 minutes. At least it's not real rough. Hopefully the wind will pick up again here soon. It's 9:21 Monday morning, the 8th of April, 2024. And we are underway. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, the wind just stopped. There wasn't any tapering down, it just stopped. And we've been becalmed ever since. Here about an hour ago, there was just a whisper of wind, and I was like, yes, I can use the spinnaker. Now, a little bit about this spinnaker. When I bought this boat in November, it had just a plethora of sails on board. The main that's on her right now is the main for a Bermuda 40. This is a Cascade 36. Needless to say, I'm running the main with a single reef in it because the main is too big for this boat. The jib that was on it, that you saw me stitching up a few times, was too long in the luff, so it never had good tension on it and whatnot, and it was a junk sail anyway. It ripped up. Fortunately, digging around through the boat, I found an old suit of sails, a storm jib, a jib, and a main. The jib is on the boat right now, perfect. The storm jib looks like it's perfect. Well, I say perfect. They're obviously old and stretched out, so, you know, not a lot of good shape here, so I'm just happy that it's pushing us along. The main, the original main, I was going to use, but I found a rip in it, and I haven't had a chance yet to be able to mend that. Plus, I need battens for it, so I have to come up with something with that. And after doing some work on it, I decided, you know, to heck with it. Why put money into a sail that I'm going to replace as soon as I get the main anyway? So I'm just running with the double reefed main, or a single reef in the main, and with a 100% jib, and moving her slowly forward. But the spinnaker looked like it had hardly ever been used. So single-handing, I wanted to make a sock for it, so I did that when I was in New Bern. And I've been building the running rigging to be able to fly the thing. And today was the first opportunity I was going to have to fly that spinnaker. So I hoisted the spinnaker up to full hoist, unsocked it. It filled with air and proved to be about 3 feet too long at full hoist. It tucks down so far below the bow that it's almost in the water. And needless to say, a whisker pole isn't going to work. So I pulled the sock back down over it and put it back in its bag. And anybody want a spinnaker? I've got one that I can let you have, pretty reasonable, I'm sure. But so I'll add that to the list of things. When I get to Maine, I'm going to call Sailrite. Well, I may do it even before then, and I'm going to send them the specs for this boat, and I'm going to have them make me a new mainsail kit, a 130 jib Genoa kit, and maybe an asymmetrical spinnaker kit, and that'll be another project for this summer. Sewing her some new sails, hopefully before I leave in the fall to head south again. But right now we're holding course, kinda, with a pulled out jib and just barely a whisper of wind. But I can see up ahead where yeah, we may get some wind here shortly and start making a little more way again. 5 hours with absolutely no movement other than rocking side to side. I'm hoping to get going here again real soon. So speaking about projects for this boat, also this summer, we're going to pull the diesel out of her, put an electric motor in her, and a 48 volt electrical system. She's going to get a wind generator, some form of solar on her, but I've got to decide what I have for space. So her booty's not real big, so it may be primarily wind generation to keep the batteries charged. So we'll see what happens. But lots of projects for this boat this summer when I get her into Maine. And hopefully next season, next fall, when I start heading south again, I won't have the fights that I've had so far since I've owned this boat. The hull's great. She's a good little boat. Doesn't take much wind to push her along. but we've got to get the rig and everything. We've got to show her some love. She's been missing love for quite a while, clearly. And we show her a little love. This is going to be a very nice boat. But anyway, just starting to get into the wind here a little bit. I see some cat's paws out here. Forecast is saying at 9 o'clock it was supposed to be picking up, and it's about 9:30 now, I think. Let me see here. Yeah, it's about 9:30 now. So we're getting a little wind, making a little way, and it's supposed to build through the day and be nice. So at least it's not cold. At least it's not cold. It's time for a little clam chowder. We'll let that cook for a bit. The plan has changed again. Checking with the weather service, since I'm close enough that I could actually get the internet on my phone. Checking the Windy app. The winds are going to be fairly light until about 7 o'clock tonight. We're making about 3 knots right now with a poled out jib, but if I drop the pole, we're not doing that. Winds still aren't strong enough. If I had the main pulled up, it would be slamming, slamming, slamming. So the main is still down. Winds will pick up tonight about 7 and blow halfway decently through the night. And then okay for a little bit tomorrow, and then it's going to get calm again. And then for like 24 hours it's going to get calm, or at least where I'm going to be, or where I assume I'll be, where I estimate I'll be. And then the winds will pick up right up to a gale, and I might be able to make it into Atlantic Highlands before the gale starts. But then again, maybe I won't. So I'm going to head to Cape Henlopen in the Delaware and anchor up off of Lewes. There I'll be in the lee of the headland for the storm. And it looks like Friday afternoon, as the storm passes, I can grab its tail. And maybe I'll head straight for Montauk, and then on into Buzzards Bay and the canal and all of that, and I'll bypass Atlantic Highlands altogether. So we'll see if that plan comes to fruition. But at least now, sometime tomorrow, I will be anchoring up in Cape Henlopen, the mouth of the Delaware, and I'll sit there for a couple of days, get some work done, ride out the storm. Still trying to work on those photographs for my buddy with his motorcycle, so maybe I'll get some of those done while I'm waiting for the storm to pass. No sense in pushing it. I'm in no hurry. It's still cold in Maine, so I will ride when it's easy. I'm making 3 knots right now on a nice even keel. About to have some fish chowder. So, oh, sounds like it's ready. It's about 6:45 in the evening. Sun is going to start setting behind us here shortly. It's a little glary that way. You're not going to be able to see that, are you? Well, just take my word for it. The sun's going to set here in about 45 minutes. We are off the coast of Wallops, Virginia. Still under a poled jib and rolling back and forth. Making about, we're probably averaging 4 knots. The GPS bounces between about 3.5 and about 4.3, so call it 4 knots. We should be abeam Ocean City, Maryland tomorrow morning at about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And the winds are supposed to be fairly steady all night. So that should be doable. And in mid-morning tomorrow, the winds are supposed to calm again to almost nothing. So it may be an all-day run, doing the last little bit to be able to turn up into the Delaware to Lewes and the Henlopen and anchorage in that area. But that's okay. We're sailing. So hopefully tonight will be a nice calm night, as in uneventful, not calm. I'm done with calm nights. I want some wind, but uneventful. We had to head offshore a little bit further than I had planned to, so not quite as near a straight line course as I wanted. Wallops was having missile tests this afternoon, and there's been a warship making security calls all afternoon. They're doing live fire exercises and so forth, so I had to stay a little further offshore to be out of their zone. But now I'm headed in for a point that's going to be about, 8 miles off of Ocean City, and I'll stay about that far offshore until I round the point there at Henlopen. And we'll just keep sailing. So it's been a beautiful day. Just a light roll. Nice, steady sail. And thank goodness for Ray Marine and their autopilot. I haven't had to touch the helm all day. I like it. The morning of Tuesday, the 9th of April, 2024, 8:48 in the morning, and once again, we are absolutely becalmed. Yep, that forecast missed the ball a little bit. I might get a little whisper of wind about noontime, but it's not going to be much. I have about 30 miles to go to the anchorage at Cape Henlopen and in the Delaware River. And I may get there tomorrow at some point, but it's calm, but a lot of swell, and it's very rolly. It's nice and flat for a little while, and then the swell will come and the rolling begins. Yee-haw. And then it'll calm back down. And then the rolling begins again. Well, this will be my day for the day. At least for this morning. Hopefully this afternoon I get wind enough to start moving forward again. But for right now, this is what we have. And then it'll calm down. There we go. We'll figure out what we can do today on a roly boat. I think it's going to be a lot of napping. So, hang on. It's 1 o'clock or thereabouts. Let me turn this and put him on standby so he'll be quiet for a little while. It's almost 1 o'clock, and it's been a becalmed day. I'm only 22 miles from the anchorage. Just wishing we had some wind. And you might say, start the diesel. And it's only 22 miles, you know, you can get there in 4 hours. But that kind of isn't the point. You know, this is part of sailing. And I have no hurry to get in. It's not going to get really nasty for 2 days, so why? But also, more flies out here. Holy smokes. Also, when I get to Maine, I'm going to be putting an electric motor in this and getting rid of the diesel. And thinking about it, doing the math, the battery supply I'm going to have in here is probably only going to give me about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours if I push it, endurance. So if I was sitting here right now with the electric propulsion system, assuming it will give me 5 knots at the power draw that would give me 4 hours, I would arrive with dead batteries and then have to get them charged up. So, may as well get used to having a shorter endurance. Now, I will be installing a small generator as well, so that if the need arose that I need to go someplace in a hurry, or I am going to be stuck in a storm, I'll be able to light off the generator to keep the batteries up while I'm running the motor. I will have that capability for emergencies, but that's not the purpose of the thing. So, yeah, we'll get used to it. And we will take this as part of the arrangement. We had a little wind for a little while. We were doing 1.5, 2 knots for a little while, but then it died completely again. And now we're just barely making steerage way. The winds forecast keeps pushing the wind out and pushing the wind out. But I think now the winds are supposed to be substantially better by about 4 o'clock. So I believe that one. Right now we're in the process of going around in circles, so I'll steer. Let Raymond be quiet, and I'll steer. See if I can't put us back on course. Shipping, I'm getting close to the traffic separation scheme for the Delaware River, and I'm seeing some shipping out here. So I will start the motor if we drift into that, so that I'm not blocking the main shipping channel. But I don't think we're going to have to contend with that right now. I think we'll do just fine. Just being patient and waiting for the wind to start. Wednesday, the 10th of April, 2024. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I am anchored here at Lewes, Delaware. This is Cape Henlopen right over here. Over this way, there's a park. This is the town of Lewes. And there's a ferry terminal and a Coast Guard station and so forth here. It's a nice little spot. I pulled in here, I anchored a little past midnight. It was 12, like 12:30. Let's call it half past midnight last night. And I'm stopping here because there's no way I'm going to make it up to Atlantic Highlands before the gale hits tomorrow night. It's supposed to blow, well, gust to 40 is what they're saying. So I didn't want to be at sea for that, and the winds have been so calm that I knew there was no way I was going to make it to Sandy Hook. So this is a great place to stop. You know, maybe there's a little less wind noise now. One of these days I'll get my lavalier mics out with wind cats on them, and we won't have to worry about this. But anyway, I stopped in here because I just wasn't making enough way. I wasn't moving fast enough. 2 weeks ago, when I decided I was going to leave, when I left Norfolk, the long-range forecast showed me almost being able to make it all the way to Maine, at least being able to make it up into Buzzards Bay, nonstop. And the closer we got to our departure date, the more and more that forecast changed. And I got underway from Norfolk and headed this way, and I was becalmed, and then I'd get a little wind, and then I was becalmed, and I'd get a little wind. And yesterday, sitting off of Ocean City, Maryland, I would look out the side of the boat, and the bubbles going by, I estimated I was doing 2.5 knots through the water. But the GPS was saying 0, and I wasn't moving at all. So I checked the tide tables, and I was going against the tide about 10 miles offshore, and it was holding me in position. And I sat in the same spot, sailing, for about 5.5 hours, well, about 5 hours, and then I slowly started moving. And then when the tide shifted, I started making way and sailing up the channel, same wind, same sail set, and sailing up the channel into here last night, I was doing 4.5 knots. So I had the tide behind me. So that's life on the water. That's sailing. So looking at the forecast now, once this blow passes, it's supposed to blow gust to 40 starting tomorrow night sometime. And Saturday afternoon, I could probably get underway, but the seas are still going to be a little uncomfortable outside. So I'll probably wait until Sunday morning, maybe. We'll see how things progress. I'm going to get underway. And the thought being, well, I could head straight to Montauk and up into Buzzards Bay and go that route. But the way things are going, I think the more prudent course would be to head from here towards Sandy Hook, towards New York. And when I get in that area, if it looks like I still have the weather, turn and run down the southern coast of Long Island to Montauk and then up into Buzzards Bay. Basically do the legs of the triangle instead of the hypotenuse of the triangle. It's a little bit further, but if I end up in the same situation I'm in right now, where the forecast changes and it's not what I was anticipating, if I'm 200 miles offshore and all of a sudden it's dead calm and a storm is coming, I'm not going to have any place I can run and hide. And being single-handed on a sailboat that is in a cruising refit, with old sails and all of that. I don't care to be putting up with a storm at sea right now, anyway. So we'll sail up towards Sandy Hook, and if the forecast isn't ideal for continuing on to Montauk and on up, we'll duck in behind Sandy Hook and ride out the next one, and then we'll go again, and we'll keep stepping our way until we're up in Penobscot Bay. But for now, today is about rest. I just took the first shower I had in 5 days here in the cockpit, and I feel much better than I did this morning when I got up. Do a little cleaning up, a little rigging work. Think about what I'm going to do with that spinnaker, since it is definitely, I pulled out the blueprints for this boat this morning and looked, and it calls for a luff length on the spinnaker for this sail plan of 40 feet, and this one is 43 feet. And I knew that because I had to measure it to order the spinnaker sock kit that I made for it. So yeah, she's a little long, so I'm thinking, what am I going to do? It'd be a shame to get rid of this sail because it's in remarkable condition. It's in great condition. So I may pull a panel out of it and see if I can't shorten it up enough that I can still keep it and use it. I'll still want to get an asymmetrical spinnaker for her, as well as a light air reaching sail. This is a symmetrical spinnaker, which is more for straight downwind sailing. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep planning. But for now, I'm here. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to put this video together and post it. And I am in behind the anchorage of refuge, the harbor of refuge, here at Hinnelopen, Cape Hinnelopen, which is the southern lip of the mouth of the Delaware. Cape May's on the north lip, Lewes and Hinnelopen is the south lip. And I'll stay here until this next blow stops. Sometime Saturday or Sunday, we'll be underway again. Until the next time.